that girl who understands that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We really don't. It's been done, covered well, and was successful. And so it seems like a lot of people have sort of forgotten some really important, honest, true, empowering light workers and people who are here to empower humanity. And just did a session previously today, and some big names came out. And I have to even say that I'm not even well versed in most of them, apart from Dolores Cannon. So Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, Angela Mylaloo, and a few others, and Dolores. So they named four, but I could feel that there was quite a group of them. And it seems like their life purpose and mission was to come be of influence to humanity, to set great examples, and to be able to leave legacies of really fantastic information. I actually have a feeling that when they were living their own lives, they had great belief and hope for humanity to empower themselves. They really wanted humanity to figure out how to empower yourself. And it kind of seems to be like this. You can't actually empower yourself by being taught it. It's actually, you have to empower yourself by achieving it. And so you have all these amazing volumes and books and speeches and guides and how to do things. And yet humanity sort of just uses them as, oh, it's in my library. Oh yeah, I bought that book. But it feels like these beings have come back in to remind you that their life purpose and mission to empower humanity, can still be achieved because they still believe in their work. They know that they, in some form or another, channeled that information. And we know Dolores, she didn't share her information just through her ego or her own channeling. She actually got clients to be so deeply relaxed that they were able to channel their own higher selves. And that's how she got to learn so much information. She had a lot of content. She could have easily have published 20 books if a lot of her information she got in her later years were actually shared publicly. So there's that. But this is why it's good to have our own sessions, to be able to understand and learn what's been held back from us, right? And humanity is really classically great at holding itself back. And so we have these amazing people in history that were able to come in and help us see things from a bigger perspective, to be able to learn and grow from, to empower ourselves back to love. So simple, right? All it is love. Love is the answer to everything, and to learn the lessons that our life contracts have. So simple, right? And from their perspective, from their higher perspective, and all high dimensional beings' perspective, it's so freaking easy. You only have one option: love, right? That's the answer to everything. But yet when we use our free will, we get to play in all the density, all the dramas, all the distractions, and a whole lot of stuff, including not empowering ourselves, not empowering others, saying, oh, we don't know how to help ourselves. We will trust other people to do that for us. We will just blindly listen to other influencers or, mainstream media or something. We're not going to think for ourselves. We're certainly not going to empower ourselves by ourselves. Thank you very much. And so we know, unfortunately, this isn't really working out for humanity. And we also know that humanity needs to experience some really challenging, scary times to be motivated to actually start caring about their own lives and caring about other people's lives and caring about other people in general, and actually caring about themselves. So they've always had this option to be able to empower themselves naturally, organically, but it didn't seem to be enough. People weren't sort of noticing. People were taking their lives for granted, their family and friends for granted, and they just keep distracting themselves with that lower range of density. And so when we're trying to support people who are starting to awaken to maybe the potential of what are these lifetimes all about? What is the purpose? What is the meaning of life? And actually what happens after death? That's a really scary one, because we've heard sort of lots about it, but we also kind of know that death and its topic is almost taboo. You don't talk about dead people. You don't talk about afterlife things because it's unprovable. Well, we've proven that there is definitely life beyond death. So, there's that. So it is extraordinary having these sessions, these quantum sessions, because you get to experience something that was so tangible and real, and you can actually even prove it. Dolores's book she shared was one woman's journey where she was taken back into 5 different past lifetimes, and she knew so much details about it without even researching anything that it was provable. Dolores used to love doing sessions with people where they would get so much nitty-gritty details of all the fun things that are happening in their lives, which were completely not in the consciousness of the current life they're living. And then she would do all the sessions, and then she would rush off and she would go to libraries, and she would find proof that what they were saying in sessions was true. And if you've ever read one of Dolores's books, she's going to tell you half a dozen times that she's curious and that she's just a journalist and a reporter, because that's who she is, right? And that she loved that. She had so much thirst to understand the meaning of life and what was going on and what's actually happened. She loves being able to record what actually happened, because she got a very strong sense that she was being told a lot of distractions from mainstream history books, and lots of missing pieces. And so her life contract was to expose the truth. And all her books are fantastic, and all her books are very high vibrational. And while I can say that about Dolores because I've experienced that myself through reading her books, I am assured that for Angela, for Louise, and for Wayne, we could say the same thing about their work. Their work is still relevant. It is still high vibrational. It is still always to be able to get you to be able to support yourself and to change your perspectives on the way of the world. We know that we can feel into this density so deeply that we sort of forget to empower ourselves through it. And as we learned again today, that there is so much density around that we're absorbing it accidentally and mistaking it for ours. And they're asking us to really ground into that energy, really deeply release it from our physical, because it needs to be sort of really cleansed and cleared. They were sort of talking about it as like the smoke. So I guess there's so much fog and thickness that is around the surface that we're all living amongst. That they're trying to cleanse and clear that, so humanity and individual souls can be able to be liberated from that frequency, from that density, to be able to hold a new range of frequency, a new vibration. And as we know, the more higher vibrational we are, because we are energy beings, the more bigger our consciousnesses can expand. And so they're saying we've got to, there's a lot that we have to do when we choose to do it. It's quite easy. So noticing constantly, are we putting extra strain and tension on the body? Are we putting extra strain and tension on the mind and worrying about things that are lack? We know if you do not love the free things in life, you only get the free things in life. You have to love everything. And as soon as you love everything, that lesson is truly done and dusted, and you get to have more other lessons and experiences to love. So there's that. So if we're taking lots of things for granted, we'll either have those things taken away for us to be able to really notice it more. The universe has an amazing way to get our attention. And if we are using our free will to be distracted, they will definitely get our attention hard. So yeah, there's that. So they really want you to be reminded that there is all this information that they have freely shared, or maybe not freely because they may have just put it into books, but find their quotes that inspire you. Share their quotes. Sometimes we don't want to say our own truths because we feel like, well, who am I? Who am I to say something? No one's going to respect it or believe it or trust it. And so it feels like these influencers who are genuine and pure, and even while they sort of feel like some of their information and concepts were drowned out by disinformation, it's everywhere, right? It's everywhere. Disinformation's everywhere. And of course, it's purposeful to try and distract those who are trying to awaken, but we work through it. We find those stepping stones and we work through it. So they're sort of suggesting, go find these influences and these informations, find their quotes that really sing and make your heart go, yes, preach it, and then share that. Because if you're finding something that's of inspiration and you're sharing a Wayne Dyer quote or a Louise Hay affirmation, they're saying, then you don't have ownership of that. You're sharing because you're caring, and then you're going to be able to share this really high perspective of this wisdom, and hopefully we're trying to encourage people to know thyself. So when you start looking into spirituality, when you start looking into metaphysics, you always suddenly realize it's all about self and how you perceive the world and what your perceptions are and how you are wanting to empower yourself or destroy yourself. It's a choice. But you know the difference between when you try to empower yourself, and you also know the difference between when you're addicted to self-sabotage and nasty talk about yourself. And any habit is a form of addiction. And so we know that when we have overcome the addiction of trash talking ourselves and belittling ourselves and keep putting ourselves down because we're not able to compare ourselves to other people that we're supposedly supposed to be matching like for like in the world, when we remember who we are, when we remember that we are very important and valuable to the universe, we are all one. And so we count, we matter, everybody matters. And while people are still sort of getting stuck in some of these lessons of significance, we want to be able to help them out. And maybe if we are sharing inspirational quotes from others, they're not going to feel like, they're telling me what to do again. They may feel like it's just an open invite to have a different perspective. So there's that. So it really just seems like their big message today is you cannot be taught how to do your inner work. It has to be achieved over teached. So you have to want to be able to do the inner work. And it feels like humanity has been given many, many, many amazing people to be able to teach this, but it's not until humanity wants to start doing to achieve it that's when it's only possible. And what is that saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And I guess that's what I guess that's the frustration, right? We can see this horse potentially being thirsty, dehydrated. And once we know that we're dehydrated, things go south quite quickly, right? We need so much more water than we're assuming. And I keep hearing about 2 liters, and I think that's about half a gallon potentially, but just small amounts constantly, because you know that this frequency of the water is very high vibrational now. You know that you're sending love to that water, you're sending gratitude to that water. You know that this is helping you, it is filling up your cells. You know that you are vibrating at a higher rate. And you also know that you sort of need to put the right fuel in your vehicles, right? And they're sort of saying it needs to be fresh. It needs to be, they're sort of saying lots of green vegetables, less processed, the better, obviously, and just raw. Getting back to the whole foods is always going to be a better thing for you. And really notice how you feel after meals. Stop and smell food first. Is this something that you really feel joy in? Or is this something that you're like, it's just a necessary thing? Remember, our bodies are changing at a rapid rate right now. And so check, are you having still routine habits of how you eat versus what your body really needs right now? There's a big difference. So we've got to catch ourselves and see what our unconscious routines are. Of course, it's all about empowering ourselves. So once we stop and focus on what we're doing, what we're thinking, how we're responding, how we are reacting. This is all part of being responsible for who we are. It seems like they really want us to be of service. And I don't know if you've heard that channeling yet, but I felt like they were screaming at us with much love. And they're serious. They're really serious. And it feels like when we talk about high dimensional beings, people think, oh, wow, they're just ETs. We can't trust ETs potentially. They don't look like us. They're foreigners. And so I think this is why they're bringing in a lot of human names and a lot of human lifetimes for us to start making the connection of the relatability and the trustability of this information. It's coming out in every which form. Yeah, are we noticing their information and their perspectives, or are we getting lost and confused with this information? So interesting, right? So they really want us to be able to face our fears and notice if we are having any fears we need to overcome. Because when we are afraid, our bodies tense up, our minds tense up, and we get really dense. They're not wanting us to be dense anymore. They're actually wanting us to be really responsible for what we are afraid of. What we are afraid of. What are we afraid of? When you know that there is such a thing as life after death, are we really afraid of death now? When we know that everything's about to change for humanity, to embrace humanity, are we afraid of them learning those lessons and empowering themselves, learning how to actually care about each other and themselves? Big concepts and big things to emotionally get into balance and neutral with, that's for sure. So remember, tough love is still love, with the bonus added, the added bonus of learning a lesson while being loved. And so tough love, we're all about tough love right now, it seems, because this is to get people's attention. If people are parroting old information from someone that's not truly in the light or wasn't truly trying to empower humanity, we have to call them out. And so to say, is this what you've channeled yourself? Channeling is so easy. You have to trust it. You have to get over your own ego and allow yourself to be so high vibrational that you are merged in with one. So much to be said. So much to be said. I'm super reflective. I feel like those soul essences came in to feel the density and to sort of mourn, because they worked really hard in those lifetimes. And while they're really proud and while they really love the lifetimes that they lived as those icons that we know, they're still grieving that humanity didn't empower themselves enough or didn't love themselves enough to take on their own advice, to take on their wisdom that they shared and apply it. And so they're revisiting the feelings of being human. They're revisiting the feelings of being here and wanting so much for humanity and having so much belief in humanity, even more than humanity has for itself. And while you can't help humanity do its inner work, you can love the crap out of humanity and know that which way humanity is going to learn how to empower itself through the lessons that it has to experience, we can see things from the bigger perspective, trusting that all is well, trusting that we are all one, trusting that we're very much loved and we're very much capable of loving ourselves and others. And so we must be serious and sincere with our light worker duties, or whatever you want to call yourselves. We're here. We're here. And we might as well just do the best we can. Of course it's hard. Of course it's challenging. But we knew what we were coming to this lifetime. And so let's make the best out of it. Let's make ourselves proud. Because it is challenging. And there is this saying, and I think it goes something along the lines of, nothing good comes from something easy. or the saying, the harder you work, the better the rewards. Something along those lines. This planet has got way out of control. The manipulation, the corruptions, the dark agendas to keep us away from love, to keep us away from who we truly are. There's some really full-on agendas here, but it's not going to break us. It's not possible to break us. Our souls are unbreakable. And our love for, their love for us, and my love for you is undeniable. And we have each other. We're not alone. In fact, we've never been alone. So I invite you all to drink lots of water, cherish your days, celebrate yourselves, hug yourselves, love yourselves, and find that inspirational literature, those inspirational songs. Find everything that really truly helps you be uplifted, and know the difference between something that's a stepping stone for you versus something that is, wow, this means everything to me right now. Okay, I love you guys. I want the very best, and I really want lots of inner peace for you, and balance and neutral, and hope and trust that all is well. I'm sick of doing tear bubbles and snot bubbles. Anyway, love you guys.